Hello, Honors 201. It's me, Pete. I'm here to talk to you about stuff. Today I'm going to talk to you about Medea, which is the other Greek tragedy that we read along with Antigone. And oh my God, there's a lot of stuff to talk about with this play. Obviously, I'm not going to get to everything here that's worth mentioning. But let's talk about a few things. I'll be looking forward to hearing what some of your comments are and some of your thoughts are. So be sure you put that in the comment boxes below. Let me think about this for a minute. Where to even begin with Medea? I guess one of the big things that I think about with this story, the thing that gets me perhaps more than anything, is that at the end of the story, Medea obviously kills Jason's new bride, kills Jason's father, kills Jason's children. She does all of that purposely and knowing that she's doing the wrong thing. She chooses to do it anyway, even though she knows it's not right. She does it just to wound Jason, which clearly it does wound him. I suppose my question is, what are we supposed to learn from this story? Because when it's all said and done, Medea gets away. The gods help get her away. She is going to go someplace where she is safe. She is not going to be punished for this stuff. God, sun god, helps her get away, which is to maybe suggest that at least some of the gods find her position acceptable or something like that. So I'm wondering again, what are we supposed to make from this story, the big story, all in all? Okay, so a couple of things that pop into my head is one, I want to say, well, if you're a man, if you're Jason, don't cheat on your wife. You're gonna piss some people off. You start cheating on your wife. The next thing you know, you might end up with a woman trying to kill your children. Especially given the fact that here's another thing. Jason married a woman who he knew when he married her was pretty crazy. She had already helped kill her brother. She had betrayed her country to get away. She had had another guy, hacked up into pieces and boiled. She is a witch. She has potions. She does things like that. Okay, and so if you're Jason, don't cheat on a woman like that. I mean, that might be one of the big lessons we're supposed to get here is, hey, man, know what you're getting into. People don't change a great deal. If you marry somebody who's a murderer, well, it might turn out that they murder somebody that you love. I think we could take that lesson away from it. Maybe the lesson isn't so much don't cheat as it is just don't marry somebody who is as problematic as Medea is. Which makes me think of the Carrie Underwood song where it's the woman. She takes the baseball bat and knocks out the lights of the truck and all of that stuff because her boyfriend cheated, and so she beats up his truck, and she says, "Oh, maybe next time he'll think before he cheats." And I always think when I hear that song, oh, well, maybe next time he'll think before he dates a crazy bitch. Because, right, obviously that's no way to respond to somebody cheating on you. You don't necessarily go destroy all their property, just like Medea here, you don't necessarily go destroy their children. It might get back at them, and as Medea says, this is the best way that she can wound Jason, and so that might work, but obviously it's very problematic. There's that. I guess another lesson we might potentially learn here is that women are manipulative and conniving and can't be trusted. And what? If you mistreat a woman, you will pay. You will pay with your own family, with your own life. Once again, just like Antigone, I want to point out again, we've got the people who are most dangerous to you are the people closest to you, the people in your family. Again, like say Joseph and his brothers, right, who throw him in the pit. We have to be very concerned with the people around us. And again, I mentioned this last time, right, but obviously crime statistics, etc., show us this. Children are most likely to be abused by their parents. Children are most likely to be abused by people that they know. Women are most likely to be killed by their husband. Things like that, right? Okay, so I'm not sure what the big lesson we're supposed to take from this. And now, if at the end Medea had been killed and hung, and I don't know, maybe even if Jason died, I would feel like, okay, at least I understand this a little bit more. The woman who is guilty at least gets sort of punished, and maybe the guy gets punished too, right? Maybe Jason gets killed. So that's something. Another thing that I want you to think about is Medea's situation here. Again, as pointed out here, she's from another country. She's a woman. She's married to a man, and she has no power under him. Of course, she's a witch or a sorcerer of some kind, and so she has a certain degree of power. And, of course, she is conniving and smart and relatively evil, so in that way she has some power. But she has no legal power, no legal recourse. Her husband cheats on her and goes and marries another woman and wants to banish her from the land, and there's nothing she can do about it. He's going to throw her out, throw the children out, and she has no recourse whatsoever. She's not going to get any money. She's not going to get any property. She's going to be gone. So she has been really screwed over. And the question I guess I'm wondering is, if somebody doesn't have any power, they don't have any legal authority, and they get screwed over, how do we expect them to respond? Do we expect them to fight fair? I would think not. You know, so I think about this with like terrorism. Why do we distinguish terrorism from other types of warfare, etc.? Well, because terrorists tend to go after civilians, right? Not after military personnel. The idea is that you go after civilians and thus you terrorize people and make them scared. And so that doesn't seem, we think that's the wrong way to go about getting your point across. That's wrong to do it through innocent, to kill innocent people to make your point. On the other hand, if you're a terrorist and say you're trying to fight the United States of America, and they have all this military power, and they have all of this money, and they have all of this stuff, and you've got nothing, how are you going to fight? I'm going to say that you're going to fight dirty. You're going to fight any way that you can. And I think maybe there's a couple of lessons there. One, which is people just aren't going to quit. They're going to fight. Medea is going to get some kind of revenge. She's going to do something. She is not just going to take this. And even if somebody is low in societal standards, if they are not seen as somebody who is very important, etc., that does not mean that they won't still want to take revenge and take revenge against people who are mistreating them. So I guess it makes me think a little bit of Martin Luther King Jr., who says something along the lines, people are telling him, hey, you know, I know you're protesting and all that stuff, but you need to wait. You need to calm down and slow people down and do all that, you know, take it easy, take it easy. And Martin Luther King says something along the lines of, listen, you shouldn't be telling me to calm it down. I'm the person calming it down. If it weren't for me, people would be running wild through the streets and burning stuff and killing things, because if you oppress people long enough, they are going to rise up violently. And at least I am here trying to make sure that they're not being violent. But they're going to rise up. You are going to pay some consequence if you mistreat people. And so that's something I think about here, is what do we expect the powerless to do when they are attacked, and when they don't feel like they have many options, which is what happens to Medea here. Some other things that I want to mention. One, Jason sees Medea killing her children as that, obviously, he sees that as her responsibility, her fault. She blames it on him and says, it was your responsibility. When you started abandoning your children, when you abandoned me, when you did that, you let go all your rights to the kids. When you're abandoning your children, hey, if somebody kills them at that point, it's already your fault. You let them go. So she blames him. He blames her. This makes me think frequently in society we have these types of issues. Let's say a woman who is beat frequently and she ends up killing her husband. Is she responsible for that because she's the one who shot him? Or is he responsible for putting her into a situation where she didn't have many options, or any options, perhaps? Well, society judges each one of those things differently. Every time a case like that comes up, we try to decide, okay, who's really responsible here? And I say that because it's not always clear. We can't just say that the person who pulled the trigger is the responsible party, because we recognize that other things, context matters. So at any rate, whose responsibility is it? Who takes responsibility? Other things that are mentioned here that I think are worth sort of thinking about. At one point in time, it's mentioned that it's much easier to deal with people that are short-tempered than it is to deal with people who are clever, meaning that, Medea doesn't just go nuts. She thinks and she figures out something that can really be painful. She doesn't just, fly off the handle and go start beating on Jason. No, she's clever. She sits and she thinks, how can I really hurt him? And so what's it easier to deal with? Or like people say this with like racism. Is it easier to deal with the white nationalist who is an avowed racist and has no problem telling you their beliefs? Are they more problem than, let's say, somebody who won't come out and say that they're racist but deeply has racist thoughts, and maybe they don't even recognize it, and they're perpetuating racism without even recognizing it? Which is a worse problem to deal with? I'm not sure I know the answer. Other things perhaps worth considering for y'all. The idea that Jason's children are punished for his mistakes, and at one point in time somebody says to Medea, hey, you can't punish the kids just because of the dad. And I just want to point out that, we often punish the children for things that the parents have done wrong. I'm thinking, for one, just about all the divorce cases in the world, say, where children are used as pawns to hurt one parent or another, where clearly the faults of the parent are being rectified by hurting the children, and in some way getting revenge in that way. So this is something that tends to happen. And I want to say too, think about people with big names. I'm throwing this out there that like if your last name is Bin Laden and your dad was Osama bin Laden, are you gonna pay for some of your dad's mistakes because you carry around that name? I'm guessing you are. Hopefully not. Right? Like, I think we would like to think that people aren't so shallow that they would just use the name. But the fact of the matter is people do that sort of thing. And then what else, people? Those are some of the big things that I wanted to mention. Another thing that I thought was interesting ideas, they say that it brings no profit to be a great man. Like, it's not good to be great. God brings down great men harder than he brings down lesser men. So this is an interesting thing to think about. This is sort of reminds me of what? More money, more problems, right? Like, the richer you are, the more stuff that you have, the more you have to protect, the more image you have to protect, the more finances you have to protect, the more all of that stuff that you have to protect. Maybe it's easier to not be a great person and not have all of that other stuff. And, so that might just make us wonder in our society, what does being a great person even mean, right? Does it mean being rich? What kind of responsibility do you need to have? What kind of, are you an important person in society, right? Is it good to be great? Or maybe it's just better to live a normal life without the highs and lows, let's say, that might come with extreme success. Anyway, people, there's a lot of stuff in Medea. And again, I want you to think about that. Just one more thing real quickly that I thought about, is it reminded me a little bit of Snow White with Medea poisoning the new bride, the person that she's jealous of, in the same way maybe that the queen is jealous of Snow White and poisons Snow White. Not exactly the same, but interesting, maybe worth thinking about. At any rate, I'll be looking forward to hearing what some of your thoughts are. I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.